Chevy 572. Introduced in 1998, this big block was found in the Chevrolet Performance Parts catalog instead of a production vehicle. This engine has a bore and a stroke of 4.56 inches by 4 3/8 inches, or 115.8 millimeters by 111.1 millimeters. Known as the ZZ572, Chevrolet created this monstrous crate engine for enthusiasts for use in muscle cars or race cars, with one variant built to accept 92-octane pump gas, the ZZ572 620, and the other built for race gas, the ZZ572 720R. You can find this crate engine under the hoods of some pretty cool builds. The 572 is officially offered by Chevrolet for the 2022 model year Copo Camaro. This is the most powerful crate engine that Chevrolet Performance has ever offered, with 620 horsepower for the street and 720 horsepower in race trim. It's also the largest displacement engine that GM has ever produced. L18 Vortec 496. The L18 Vortec was introduced in 2001 and was made for GM trucks. It has an all-iron block and the same bore diameter as the 7.4-liter big block, with the stroke upped by 0.037 inches. The L18, part number 890-17918, has since been discontinued by GM Performance, and most performance sites will list it as such. It was a V8 truck and SUV engine, first introduced in pickups, Suburbans, and Yukons in 2001. In production vehicles, it was putting down between 225 and 340 horsepower and 350 to 455 foot-pounds of torque, with custom builds bringing the power up to 550 horsepower and a stump-pulling 690 foot-pounds of torque. Pontiac 455. Unlike its GM counterparts, Pontiac manufactured its own engines from 1955 to 1981, and the biggest displacement came in the form of the 455, used from 1970 to 1976. This 7.5-liter beast was never listed on Trans Am shakers as the 7.5-liter, unlike the later 6.6-liter 400 cubic inch mill. It was always called the 455 by everyone, and when the Firebird formula and Trans Am came out with the SD 455 in 1973 and 1974, they were the cars to watch out for. The SD 455 had a strengthened cylinder block with 4-bolt mains, nodular iron crankshafts, forged rods, and forged aluminum pistons. The SD 455 didn't pass emissions in 1975, so enthusiasts were stuck with the standard 455 mill until 1976. Cadillac 472. Cadillac introduced an all-new engine for 1968. The base engine for Cadillac's 500 cubic inch version was the 472, with a stock stroke of 4.060 on the 4.3 bore engine. It was considered to be a lower maintenance engine with 10% fewer parts and a reduction of 30% in gasketed joints. Used in Cadillacs from 1968 to 1974, the 472 was capable of 375 horsepower and 525 foot-pounds of torque with 10.5 to 1 compression. The new engine was about 80 pounds or 36 kilograms heavier than its predecessor. It was used throughout 1974. It was designed with potential for a 500 cubic inch, 8.2-liter displacement. But the EPA regulations brought that power down to 205 horsepower and 380 foot-pounds of torque before the engine was taken out of production. Cadillac 500. Anyone who lived in the 1970s was familiar with the big 500-inch Caddy engine. It was used exclusively in the Eldorado, a front-wheel drive luxury boat that could smoke the tires straight down to the rims. Until 1975, when it was available in nearly every full-size model. With a 4.304-inch stroke, bringing the 472 cubic inch Cadillac motor to a whopping 500 inches, this behemoth was capable of up to 400 horsepower and 550 foot-pounds of torque, with compression adjustments up to 10-to-1. But in the years that followed, like its smaller 472-inch sibling, our wonderful EPA forced compression down to 8.5-to-1 and horsepower dropped to an anemic 190. It still put out a strong 360 foot-pounds of torque despite the power loss. Oldsmobile 455. The Oldsmobile Rocket 455 was considered the beginning and the end of many things with regards to GM performance. It was the first overhead valve V8 engine for Oldsmobile, as well as the last one to see a carburetor in a production car. From 1968 to 1970, it could be found in the front-wheel drive Toronado, cousin to Cadillac's Eldorado, and from 1973 to 1976, it could be found in the GMC motorhome, which was also front-wheel drive. The Rocket 455 replaced the 425, but with a bumped stroke of 4.25 inches, output ranged from 275 to 400 horsepower, with the Rocket name disappearing from the air cleaner decal after 1974. The Cutlass, Vista Cruiser, Delta 88, 98, Custom Cruiser, and the infamous 442 were all found with the 455 up until the end of production in 1976. However, the Olds 455 was still produced through 1978 for power equipment use.